Shalom.
Shalom.
First off, all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the hopeful elect. We're the brothers of the Great Millstone, Arizona. Well, with another week to edify, speak on the prophecies, and let you know the future that is coming for America. But there's been a lot of stuff going on in the last week and a half, and now you just have this stuff with Iran and Israel, which is big for prophecy, where they just sat there and threw missiles on one another. And Iran finally shot missiles into Israel today, right? They hit a apartment building. You got a small hat female that came out and said, "I just moved into my house yesterday, and it got blown up today." Lost it all right then and there, man. So it's all starting to come back on them, and you got all these small hats acting like the attack was provoked, but they sat here and bombed these people off the fact that they're trying to enrich uranium, but they haven't attacked anybody. They haven't attacked anybody. They haven't hit anybody's military posts or nothing like that. So it was a fully unprovoked attack, and the international community is seeing that. And it's the least of the flock drawn them to the battle, man.
Yeah, bro. Iran is a good example of the scripture that says they shall beat their plowshares into spears. Yeah, bro. Yeah, because they are the weak ones, who are saying, I am strong.
Yeah.
And so Israel's trying to check that before it gets to the point to where they can threaten with a nuclear missile.
Yeah, and the rhetoric around it is them sitting there, because Trump gave an ultimatum: no enriching uranium, but you're in the 21st century. You're in 2025 where everybody's using nuclear power.
Yep.
So you're telling them that they're not allowed to advance into the modern world and saying that you can't enrich uranium at all. So any enriching of any uranium at this point is going to be considered a violent act that they got to respond to. So they're literally putting them in a corner where they ain't got no choice but to start bulking up.
Yep.
And you got Israel sitting there coming around saying, "Oh, they're so close to making nuclear missiles within, the next couple months." But they've been saying that since like 2002. They've been saying the same shit since Netanyahu was the first one to say it in 2002. So 23 years later, back in 2002, he sat there and said that they're within 5 years of making nuclear missiles.
Man, they got it, bro.
So
they
have it. They have it.
Like, on Elder Natazak's stream that he's doing today, he even said too, man, all the countries got, they all got nukes.
Mm-hmm.
So then, saying that, man, it's just fucking lies from the media to play on the minds of the people.
Well, it's really just to set up a narrative. Like the scriptures say, he's the accuser of the brethren. He's the main accuser of the word. So he's literally setting up a public statement to justify any of his actions. And that's what the devil will do. Mm-hmm. Right? You got the first thing?
Yeah.
You got anything to say?
God, because brother said, all these countries, they got nuclear capabilities, man. Because this arms race, that's what it is. It's been going on since the 80s, man. Even earlier did that, and no country's gonna back down or quit their defenses just because another country says so, man. That's just not wise, in running a country.
Mm-hmm.
So whether they got it publicly or they're not really good, because in order to be a good war fighter, you don't expose all your strength, man. You don't expose all your arsenal. You always make them think that you have less than you have.
Mm-hmm.
So these countries, they've been having nuclear missiles. They've been having capabilities to do these things. And they know they got them, because they get a lot of help from Russia. They get a lot of aid from Russia. I'm talking about these enemies of what you call the United States of America. They get a lot of aid from these other foreign countries, man.
Yeah.
You know, and America sells them weapons too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they know what's going on. They're just playing the game for the people. And at the end of the day, you gotta understand all of this is just propaganda, man. All of this is just like the brother said, is he's doing a deceitful work, man.
Yeah.
He wants the American public to think one thing, but secretly he's doing another.
Yeah.
Because they always say like the leaders of a war sit down together and eat dinner together, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which faction they're fighting. The guys up top, they know each other. They're best buds, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all like they're all in that crafty council together, man.
Yeah. That's right.
You know, at the top of the top, the least, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call Illuminati, they all know what's going down. They all know that policy is taking place. They all know that this is the appointed time. I got this to happen 2 and 3. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but the end shall speak and not lie. So the news is not lying, man. The prophecies are not lying. You know, it just signifies the time of the end. The wars, the movements of wars we're seeing right now. You know, you're seeing the Revelation 12 going down, Revelation coming down, the devil coming down in great wrath. You know, he's going upon the tribes, man. You know, with the deportations and all that.
Yeah.
And these provoke riots that they have. Because that's already been established too, that a lot of these riots, they're started by Esau, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they already found proof of Craigslist ads looking for strong men to carry out certain tasks, to provoke certain things. You know, all these things are planned out. All these fall under the category of propaganda, which is a way of saying deceit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish this verse. It's Habakkuk 4:2 and 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but then it shall speak and not lie. Though tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry, man. It will not tarry. It's not gonna be held back anymore. You're seeing the floodgates of prophecy opening, and things just happening one after another, because the scripture said that, Yahushua said that he's gonna shorten the days for the elect's sake, man.
Yeah.
So things are going at a very fast pace. You know, they say Donald Trump's gonna be the last president. Hopefully he is, man. You know, hopefully he is.
Yeah.
That gives us what, a 5-year time span to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
But you always got to, that too, you got to remember that through much tribulation will we enter the kingdom of the Most High, man. So there's a lot of hard times coming as well. Go ahead.
So, real quick, this is just a bit off the point you said about the deportations, right? This is it says the revival of the federal death penalty and lifting of the moratorium on federal executions is not being voted on. It has already been addressed by an executive branch. Specifically, President Trump issued an executive order on January 20th, 2025, directing the Justice Department to restore the federal death penalty. Following its Attorney General, Pam Bondi, issued a memo on February 5th of 2025, lifting the moratorium on federal executions. And it says that it fully went into effect May 23rd of this year.
Right. And what comes to death penalty?
Yeah.
Beheadings, guillotines. That's all in the scriptures. You said there's going to be beheadings, man.
Yeah.
So they're going to bring back the guillotine. They're going to bring back firing squads. Basically, what you're seeing is the beginning of martial law, man. Yeah. That's what you're seeing. Whether you want to believe it or not, whether you want to think it's real or not, you're seeing the beginnings of martial law. Yeah. Military justice, military execution, beheadings, trials, execution, juries without trials, man.
Yeah.
You know what they said? The brother said, recent video that they got rid of the habeas corpus, man. Yeah. So you're seeing the dragon. You're seeing him speak like a dragon. Yeah. Like one scripture, Revelation, he spoke like a dragon. You're seeing the draconian laws being in effect, man. You're seeing the book of Revelation, the scriptures and prophecies come to life, man. Like we read in Habakkuk in the 2nd chapter right there. It will not tarry. You're seeing it not tarry any longer, man. The things that the apostles have been preaching about for the last 20, 30 years is now visible in your eyes, man. Right in front of you. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, and then the moratorium, they're sitting there saying that they can. So when they bring back federal death penalty, that means they're taking the power out of state hands. Mm-hmm. So that, like, when you cut the state out of it, you don't have to go by state laws. There's no jury to fucking vote on it. Brought up habeas time of Jacob's trouble.
Right.
All this stuff is happening all at one time to let you know that it's about to get real nasty on Saturday, bro.
Right.
Like these niggas going out here to riot tomorrow and all that stuff, protest tomorrow. They don't know how that's going to end. I just saw a video where a chick was recording and dude said fuck you to the police while they were walking by. They turned right back. Him their asses up right then and there. There's another video where a chick was trying to walk to her house was blocking the street. They told her to turn around and fucking keep it moving. And she was like, I just gotta go that way. They fucking shot her point blank range with rubber bullets.
Right. Unprovoked, man.
Yeah.
Unprovoked. So you're going to see the same thing that they saw in the time of COVID, but on a larger scale. You're going to see public curfews.
Yeah.
You're going to see you stay in your fucking house. You know, you're going to see that. You're going to see armored vehicles roaming your neighborhoods. You know, all these things are just going to escalate. There's not going to be no dying down of these things, man.
That's right. Go ahead.
I got real quick. I just looked up a little history between the conflicts between America and Iran. And I'm just reading a little bit of it. I'm sure bros know already, but it says, "Why do America and Iran hate each other?" It says, 1953 U.S. coup in Iran. Iran had a democratically elected prime minister, Mohammed Mossadegh. I don't know how to say his last name. It says he wanted to nationalize Iran's oil, which was controlled by British and American companies. So it's a pattern with America. As long as America is in control, they are, ain't no problems.
Right.
That's the thing. But other countries, they don't like, not every country is cool with America being in control because they're their own country, man.
Right.
It says, and as you see, like, even on a separate scale, even the wickedness that's pronounced here in America, other countries, like the people in other countries has adopted that. And what do you have when you have a country like a Muslim country, right? That the laws are completely adverse to American law. What happens is the people start to act out, right? In those Middle Eastern countries, they don't play. They got some shit called Sharia law, man. And I think in that law, one of them is stoning your ass to death, man, if you do something wrong. Right. It says he wanted to nationalize Iran's oil, which was controlled by British and American companies. The U.S. and Britain orchestrated a coup. Operation Ajax is what it's called. It says to overthrow Mossadegh and reinstall the Shah King Mohammed Reza Pahlavi, who was loyal to the West. It says many Iranians never forgave America for interfering with their country's politics. And then in 1979 it says the Shah ruled Iran like a dictator with U.S. backing. His regime was seen as corrupt and oppressive. In 1979, a popular uprising led by Ayatollah Khomeini overthrew the Shah shortly after radical students seized the U.S. embassy in Tehran, taking 52 Americans hostage for 444 days. And that's when, in 1979, that's when the big-ass conflict started to happen. When you look that up, that made it at a point of no peace, basically, between America and Iran, between the two nations. It says U.S. sanctions and isolation. After the revolution, America cut ties with Iran. The U.S. imposed economic sanctions and isolated Iran diplomatically. Iran accused the U.S. of trying to destabilize their government and control the Middle East, which is not far-fetched because wherever America go, they try to control it. Because who's ruling over it? The wicked. Okay? 4, it says Iran supports groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, which, what was that, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago when they ran in on Israel when the niggas was coming down with the parachute and shooting up parades and shit, right? It says Iran supports groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, and Shia militias in Iraq, Syria, groups the U.S. considered terrorists. It says the U.S. has military bases in countries surrounding Iran, which Iran sees as a threat. And if I'm not mistaken, one of their leaders a couple years ago got killed with a drone.
Yeah, they just killed those missile strikes that Israel sent over there. Killed a couple top generals and some of their nuclear scientists.
See?
So they did surgical strike. They had to carpet bomb Gaza and destroy everything. but they were able to do direct bombings of exact people's locations and apartments.
Yeah, but I saw one where,
And the whole building didn't come down.
yep, where
That's fucking wild.
they had I think it was 2 missiles that entered into the side of the building to blow up a specific room,
Yep.
and it had 2 holes, like, precision,
Yeah.
to, try to kill some high up person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So it's no different than now. Like they're literally going all out with this shit at this point. And it's all these surgical strikes show you that this wasn't something that, because remember, if you're gonna do a surgical strike, you gotta have information,
Right.
a lot of intel.
Yep.
You have to build the patterns of when they're gonna be here and there. Even with the whole attack, Trump told Iran, if you don't make this decision in 60 days, it's out of my hands. So the U.S. even knew about the track. Israel wasn't doing nothing alone. They just went through with the plan. This is we in a real time, bro.
Just a little bit more on this. But go ahead.
But I just seen an article literally like 2 hours ago, and it said that Trump did in fact know that Israel was going to strike Iran, and basically gave the okay,
Mm-hmm.
because there are things being said, in the media that the U.S. told him not to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but Trump knew about it and shit like that. So
Yep.
It says nuclear tensions. It says Iran began developing nuclear technology, claiming it was for energy. The U.S. and its allies accused Iran of secretly trying to build nuclear weapons, which just furthers your point that you said earlier, that all these nations have nuclear weapons. That's what makes a nation a powerhouse. Is its allies and its nuclear weapons, basically. It says, and obviously their resources. It says this led to years of standoffs, sanctions, and even assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists, which the brother just pointed out right now. It says in 2015 there was a nuclear deal, the JCPOA, but in 2018 Trump pulled the U.S. out of it, escalating tensions again.
Yeah. Because what they kept trying to sit here and wrench uranium to the levels. Then they have to be subject to random spot checks where they would send people in to check them. They passed the test showing that they were literally applying with the order, but then they come around them and hit them with sanctions saying, oh, you guys aren't applying the order of not enriching uranium past this point. So they had record of them always passing the test, but then the U.S. and Israel will sit here and say, no, they're not. So like these devils have been on a tirade, but now all the chickens are coming home to roost, and the Lord is pushing the point now. That's the main purpose of it, man. You got that one-on-one?
And just real quick, this is a video that was posted an hour ago in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and the quote says, damage, it says damage like we have never known before. And it's showing basically all the destruction from the missiles, basically the aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
But this is 2nd Ezra 16:37, and it says, behold, the plagues draw nigh, and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so, it says, even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth.
You see, the plagues ain't slack to come on the earth. A lot of people thought they would be able to party in BS. They didn't take the warning of the prophet seriously, and now these things are starting to happen. And this is why you have more and more people coming on the comment boards, making little videos of TikTok and shit, sitting there trying to talk about the Israelites. Y'all get on us for how we teach, but you can't get on us for the prophecies we preach.
And it says, though we are rude in speech, but not of knowledge.
Yeah, because what you're saying is what we said will happen is starting to happen. So what Jake do is they're trying to nitpick everything we do, because if we can get them wrong in this area, then maybe the rest of the shit they said wasn't right. But fuck that, man. These players are drawing nine. There's gonna be a draft. There's gonna be a draft, and they even sat there. Palantir. Palantir is basically the Jake Helm system that they want to use to fully monitor everything. And with the protests, you had a U.S. senator sit here and say, "We need to deploy Palantir. You know you want to do it." You looking at Palantir, bro, it's literally Esau's Godhead. He's literally able to sit here and predict your movements, your emotions, all by your social media posts, compiling all your text messages and everything, and be able to sit here and legitimately detail whether or not you're going to be a threat. He's setting up this Godhead right in front of everybody. And now you have the AI sitting there picking everything up, and it's getting so good you don't even know if it's AI or not. You got to look close attention to it. Now, how do you think it's getting to those conclusions? Because it's compiling the data of everybody to learn pitch, tone, word placement, facial structure, facial expressions,
lingo.
Yep.
Mannerism.
Yeah, and that's what that Palantir thing is for. That's what it's for. It's literally to map the human response. And then they can sit here and be like, they can get your pattern down, wait till you get home, and bomb your place. You better believe they use that shit over there against Iran. Better believe they used it. How the hell did it pinpoint the apartment building?
Yeah, if I could say real quick, this is like the technology that, see, and I was talking about this last night. You know how intelligent you have to be and strategic you have to be in a war? Like, they have a video of, I mentioned it a minute ago, they have a video of Putin playing with, like, he wasn't talking, but he was sending signals to his men through through the microphone by just tapping, like, certain things. So it's just like, these people are fucking intelligent, man, when it comes to war, like precision strikes, you know, what to hit, what not to hit, what type of armory you need. And then it goes to show you, like, anybody could be stopped. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, the amount of homework somebody has to do to figure out where this person is at this time, and where this person stay at, where he sleep at, where he go eat at, where his kids, they have to stop. That's called stalking, man. You know what I'm saying? So when you do that, like, Esau is a man, he's a, you know, he's a violent man, man. This is what they do. And then you got cell phones, you got monitors, you got drones, you know what I'm saying? You got technology, you got cameras. You know what I'm saying? They're stalking you, man. This is not like the days of old where it's like, you know, you get close up on your enemy, you can gut them. No, bro, they're not fighting like that anymore. You got to do miles away, countries away, with a motherfucking remote in his hand that's operating something to send at you that's gonna blow up, man.
Yep.
This is the type of war that's being fought. But ultimately, what knocks all that shit out is thermonuclear missiles. That's why that will make a country a powerhouse, man.
Grab Psalm 17 and 11. You know what you're saying? Finish that one.
2 Ezra 16, back at 39. It says, "Even so shall not the plague be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall continue upon it on every side."
Showers are coming upon it on every side, man. You had all the people in Gaza displaced, bombed to hell. You got all these Jake over here in the U.S., right? These people that are being deported, and they're literally going for the hard-working Jake at restaurants, farming, and construction, because they're really just putting them in captivity for those things. Remember, they're not giving them fair trials. They're not taking them to court super fast. They're not worried about extraditing them super fast, because the countries that they're from, they're not taking them right away. They're sending them to these detention centers with no oversight, because all these senators legally have the right to come and go in and do oversight of any detention facility of illegal migrants, and they're literally turning them away at the door. They got all these reports that these people have been in these places for extended periods of time, but they haven't been able to come out. So they're literally in all these detention facilities are owned by private interest groups. So they're using them just like slave labor.
Yeah.
That's why they're picking all the ones that they're picking.
What are they doing? They build the shit there too?
Bro, they shipping them out to wherever they want and have them do whatever they want. They were doing it pre-COVID, to where they would take people's papers away and make them work on people's farms and other people's buildings and stuff, doing repairs. And because they didn't have their papers, if the ICE would have came and took them at that time, it'd be like, oh, you don't have papers, you're here illegally, and they would never be able to get back in the U.S. again. So they're literally putting Jake into slavery in those places. Dude, this is like the scriptures say, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. All this stuff is being encompassed in this time, man. These are birth pains. It's hell on every side, man. It's hell on every side.
I got that what you call for the Psalms 17. In Psalm 17 and 11, it says, they have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
We keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It says, like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places.
See, just like a lion lurking in secret place, like literally coming down to the grass, peeping you out, through the bush, will slowly moving toward you. That's what Esau is doing right now with all of his plans. This military strikes, the laws encompassing deportation, execution, suspending habeas corpus, all of these things. The National Guard, they just lost a case in the Supreme Court saying that they weren't allowed to use the National Guard. He did it illegally. So instead of saying they're pulling them out, they put them on a 29-day BHT hold, BATH, or BAH, I think it is, BAH hold, to where now they don't have to pay those National Guard the money for it because it's under 30 days. So now they gotta stand already for 29 days and not really get paid how they're supposed to get paid. What do you think that's gonna do to the National Guard? They're gonna be pissed. We gotta sit here doing this shit we don't feel like doing, and we're not even getting paid like we're supposed to be doing. It's literally fucking with the tensions.
Well, they did that before, I forgot what it was, where they deployed the National Guard, and they gave them like fucked up living conditions. And basically what the National Guard did, I forgot what state it was, but they were just fucking raping people, they were just doing drugs, just doing all kinds of like wicked shit. You know, because they were just left there, like, you know, you got in a fucking situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the same shit can happen there. Where you're gonna have these National Guardsmen and they're gonna be pissed off but they're not getting paid, and they're just gonna start doing whatever the fuck they want to do. You know, because it happened before. You know,
That's terrible.
these people they really don't want to be there. You know what I'm saying? They'd rather be, you know, nice and comfy, get a home right there, man.
Yeah.
They don't want to be sleeping on the floor right there in some hotels or shit like that.
Yeah.
Eating MREs, you know, 5 days, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
You know, they really don't want to be there. They most of the time they're just for the college money, man.
Trying to take them 10-minute naps.
Yeah, they most of them do is they're for the college money.
Yeah.
Or to finish their years to get a retirement.
But then they brought in the real niggas.
Yeah, they brought the Marines for
Yeah.
29 pounds, I think it was.
Yeah.
I heard about that.
Yeah, and basically their mission was supposedly to guard federal buildings and federal employees, man.
Yeah.
What's the, cause I was watching the video, I think I sent it to you, about an ex-Marine talking about the Marines from 29 Palm. What are, is that, they're like danger, like
Well, the reason they say, because 29 Palms, it's a base in the middle of nowhere. So they're all tight, man. There's no activities for them to do around there. It's just a base in the middle of the fucking desert.
Yeah.
And it's a miserable place. It's a miserable base, one of like the worst places in the whole Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So they're what that dude was saying, I seen that video saying that, well, those Marines over there, they're always fucking pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
So when you let them loose, they're just gonna release.
Yeah.
As soon as they get a chance, man.
Yeah. And that's what you gotta do. You gotta deal with niggas like that.
Right.
You gotta do that. Man, like, Jake don't know it. And you get a nigga like that finally off the leash,
Right.
where they tell him, oh, you can go hot out of nowhere. If they pull up a camera on you, take out the camera. Imagine the shit them niggas gonna be doing. They've been in the desert, not getting no coochie.
Yeah. They're all the time, man.
Bro, you throw it, and then you bring them over here. While all these hot teens, all them hot teens, they get to the point, they ain't got to grow. They gonna be doing some wild shit.
That'd be some mass chaos, man.
Yeah.
You Same thing with the LA Rise. They deployed the Marines there too. They started like firing at people, man.
Mm-hmm.
Also they had the Marines at the border one time.
Yeah.
And they had to close that down because some Marine fired on some kid, crossing the border. So, motherfuckers, that trigger happy, man.
Mm-hmm.
They just waiting to be the first kid in the block to get what they call a kill, man.
Yeah.
They want that shit, man.
And they don't look at Issachar like you a citizen.
Right.
So the same thing that they do when they go to the Middle East with the Middle Eastern women, taking them and raping them and all that shit. I mean, it's not far-fetched that they won't be doing. What about the children? All the children that were missing at the border, like, it's a bunch of shit that's going on that's not being broadcasted. You know what I'm saying? Because, and we the only ones talking about it. Right. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's always been the history of servicemen in every conflict, man. Vietnam War, they're raping people, they're raping chicks over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's war.
World War II, man, they had such a problem with sexually transmitted diseases that everybody had it, man.
Yeah.
Because they were going to these villages and they would just rape whatever the fuck was there, man. That's your U.S. servicemen right there. You watch that show, Band of Brothers. They try to glorify the American military like they're just heroic fucking here say today. In reality, they were just on some raping and killing shit, man.
Yeah, a lot of them niggas that do go out in the military, I mean, you know it because you've been there. I mean, I've known people that gone. Usually, the dudes that go into the military, the vast amount of them that are like hella diehard Americans, those are the losers in high school. Now you put a gun in their hand.
Now they feel they're important, man.
Yeah.
That they get that rank and they finally get to boss somebody around.
Yeah. Bro, a loser nigga from high school was empowered, and they show it on every movie. Mm-hmm. Every movie. Society goes down, that little loser nigga get a gun.
And them are the ones that stay in.
Yeah.
Because most Marines they quit after their first term because it sucks so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't like it, man. It's just full of shit. They quit after their first enlistment. And those dudes that are really ain't shit. They're the ones they're the ones that stay in for the long term, man.
Yeah. Bro, this is Isaiah 13 and 16. It says, "Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished."
Right.
That's something that's gonna be happening in this time too. It's a lot of shit that's gonna pile on top of each other to let you know that this is the day of the Lord, man. This is a time of Jacob's struggle. All this shit is spelling in to being a time of Jacob's struggle. You YNs, you young niggas, y'all gonna get sent to war.
Right, and Esau's provoking a lot of this shit to happen, man.
Yeah.
Saw the other day, other Yashabamba, he brought out the fact that these things were started by Esau, man. And also another video I saw too, basically the same thing, where they're hiring these people off Craigslist to go and do this dirt, man.
Yep.
They got ads for rough men willing to do violence.
Down motherfuckers.
Yeah. They pay them $6,000 a week, some shit like that.
Yeah, it was like I think it ranged from 6,500 to 12,000.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I need some more. I gotta consider, man.
Don't sign up, man.
I ain't gonna sign up.
Don't do it.
So a lot of these riots that you're being seen, yeah, they got the bad apples in the bunch that are starting shit, but majority of that shit's being provoked by Esau, man, and those that work for him.
Yeah.
These are what you call false flag scenarios, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're seeing being played out. You're seeing America being steered into martial law.
Yeah.
And guess who's doing it? The government.
Mm-hmm.
They're steering the American people into martial law. Mm-hmm. That's where they want you to go, because they need control over you, man. They need control over you to bring forth that chip. Ultimately, that's what it's all about. They need control over you to bring forth that chip. They need to minimize the population to have more control over people. So there's going to be this. You never know. There's going to be some mass shootings, man. It could be some real levels of violence that you ain't never seen.
Yeah. I got this for you, bro. This is Isaiah 32 and sorry, 6, it says, for the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy and other error against Yahweh, to empty the soul of the hungry, and to cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. And that's what the bro was touching on, man. He's devising wicked devices. All this stuff that he's literally using every event to push forth the agenda. It's not even going slow no more. This is no longer a months and years goal. This is a couple days, a couple weeks. It's literally, this year alone, he passed a bunch of fucking executive orders, all just to push forth the point. It's speeding up, like the scripture says. He said, "There's no flesh to be saved." The Lord was going to speed up the times. That's what you're seeing. The times are getting sped up. This stuff with Iran and Israel going on right now, that's just a show for you to know the times are getting sped up.
I'm gonna get this, what you just read, I'm gonna get it the NOT.
Mm-hmm.
This is Isaiah 32:7. It says, the smooth tricks of scoundrels are evil.
Mm.
They plot crooked schemes. They lie to convict the poor, even when the cause of the poor is just.
Man.
So that's what you see Esau doing right now, man. You're seeing the high level of propaganda pushed upon the people. And you know what? The American people, they don't believe propaganda exists.
Shit.
They just can't fathom that the government will do something like that.
Yeah.
Or they can't. Or do you mean to tell me that they hire people to provoke these? Yeah.
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 They don't want to believe Esau's that evil.
Right.
Because if they do, it's uncomfortable.
Right.
They can't live their life in that ignorance no more. They gotta live their life in anxiety.
Right.
Like those are their life. But you just like, oh man, this devil's doing something.
Like how could you not believe that if the majority of people already believing that 9/11 is an inside job?
Yeah.
The majority of people that already believe that, oh yeah, government did that, government did that. What makes you think they can't do some shit like that?
Yeah.
You know, what makes you think that they can't push their cause in a violent manner to get the results that they want?
Yeah.
You know, they want to blame all this violence on the tribes, on the so-called black and so-called Mexican. They want to blame all the violence on our people, because what they are wicked. They are the people of our nation that do those things. But they're the one that's steering all this, man. You know, so
Like, just to land back on what you just said, like, when you go to places like Memphis, right, Chicago, how the fuck is and not to change the subject, but how the fuck is these little niggas getting away with so much murders,
right.
Mm-hmm.
And really it's the lack of policing in those areas, man. How the fuck you got one person that got 13 bodies, man, and this is like bragged about, right? 7 bodies, 13 bodies.
Yeah.
20 bodies, 10 bodies, 4 bodies, and it's not, because when you look at the predominantly Jake areas in the fucked up states or the fucked up cities within the states, there's no police presence there like that, man. It was times where police wouldn't even show up after being called. You know what I'm saying? And that's done strategically. So you can say like, Esau can say all day, the tribes are violent, this and that, but who's orchestrating that shit?
Yeah.
Because when you got motherfuckers that are in poverty, living in the projects, they got all these fucking guns, but don't got enough money to pay their rent, right? Who's orchestrating this, man? You know what I'm saying? They frustrated, they hungry. Of course they gonna look at the next man like, these niggas don't know nothing, man.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to know nothing. You got drugs, they on pills, they ain't got no money. These niggas that got cars, none of that shit, but got money for pills, got money for guns, supposedly, bullets, all this shit, switches. All kind of military upgrades on their gun. Where they getting this type of shit from? Who's orchestrating this, man? You know what I'm saying? So you got to dig deeper into that. But really, it's like, because in certain cities or certain parts of the city, like you use Chicago, when you go to North Chicago where Esau at, on the north side, that shit don't be happening like that, man. Mm-hmm. But when you go to the east side, west side, the south side, there's no police. That's why the niggas are able to get away with murder.
Yeah. Why don't you think there's street prostitution in Esau's neighborhoods? There's a reason. Cops know where the hoes in.
Right.
Cops know where they at.
Some of them buy it.
Yeah. They be getting free Gucci sometimes. I won't rush you today. You gonna have to give me mine.
Yeah.
But like they know where it's at. They know where it's at. But they don't do anything about it because it keeps that area in a box to where they can respond to Jake how they want. Because Esau's neighborhoods aren't like that, but all this, he's doing the same thing that he did with Jake, he's gonna start doing with Iran heavily, to justify more bombings, to justify putting sanctions on them. Iran's gonna respond by messing up the oil market. Remember, they were afraid with the bombing into Syria, whether or not they were gonna sit here and make oil jump up to $100 per barrel, which would make your gas up to $6-7 a barrel, $6-7 a gallon, $10 a gallon. So you're talking about a plethora of things that can come off of one action.
Yep.
Like this shit is crucial, very crucial, man. Can you get that one where it says it's in the pocket where it says the dragons of Arabia? So get the upper hand, because that's what you're gonna see. Because now least of the flock is drawing America to the battle, right? The least of the flock is Israel drawing them to the battle.
Second interest.
Right.
But now all these Arab nations, they're gonna be galvanized. They just watch Gaza get swept away and nobody do nothing. And now they're bombing Iran. You think Iran's gonna let them wait? Iran in history was one of the most vicious empires outside of Esau. These niggas were warriors. And now you sitting there bombing them like you did them niggas in Gaza, it's not gonna go well, man. You got it?
Yeah, 2nd Ezra 15 and 29. I'll start at 28. And it says, behold, behold an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots.
And the dragon is what? Vicious, harsh, cruel, very violent. That's how the Iranians are, man. Those are Persians. Go ahead, bro.
And a multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth.
And people don't know, but Iran has a huge air force. Iran actually has some of the most advanced drones. They have a huge air force and a huge navy. Go ahead, bro.
That all they which hear them may fear and tremble.
Mm-hmm.
Also the Carmanians, raging in wrath,
Talking about them Iranians.
shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood,
Mm-hmm.
and with great power shall they come and join battle with them,
Mm-hmm.
and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians.
And the Assyrians, you go back, I think it's in the book of Isaiah, the scriptures say the Syrian will rod of my anger. The Assyrians are compared, and just like it says, Esau, the wicked is the rod of the Lord's anger. So it's just another euphemism from the Lord to compare the Edomites to the Assyrians. Because what were the Assyrians used for? To literally beat Jake into submission. And that's what Esau's been doing. They were violent, beating Jake into submission. It's the same thing. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 31, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature.
You see, remembering their nature. And what was the nature of the Iranian, the Persian Empire, man? Right? It was in the former years, it was thought crazy to go against the Persian Empire. But then Alexander the Great came, right, that rough goat. And he was the one to stand against him, but he still didn't even take him down. They basically just submitted. So like this is what you're gonna have to deal with in these times. And, hey, you gotta keep an eye on the responses. There's only been one hit back. We're gonna see what it does to the markets, how that's gonna pay in for your pockets. Because all this stuff ties into a lot, man. Right.
It says, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be troubled with blood, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee.
You see, this is what's gonna happen, man. They're literally coming for blood. They coming for blood, man. They're literally going to tear shit up. But we gonna see exactly the extent, how fast it's gonna be, because Iran has literally they've been talking a lot of shit for years and didn't do nothing. This is the first time they actually shot something. So, we'll see, man. You good on that. Y'all got precepts? I think there's one more, yeah. Keep going, I think.
It says, verse 33, it says, and from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and in their host shall be fear and dread, and strife among their kings.
You see? And strife among their kings, man. You got these world governments fighting and shit against each other. This is good times. Beautiful time for prophecy, man. Go ahead, bro. You gonna say?
Verse 34 says, behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. And they shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly.
You see? That war breaking out. And we know the war isn't going to fully come in until the MOTB comes and is implemented and made mandatory. But we can see that the policies that are being put in place, they're going to use Issachar. They're going to use the Northern Kingdom as a test run in those facilities for the chip. They're definitely going to use it, man. And there's a lot of them in there that just want to get out. The situation is being made hellish for them. So a lot of them don't be willing to do anything to get out of that situation.
Well, there was a talk for Trump saying that he was going to allow farm workers to come back.
Yeah.
Because they need them.
Yeah.
You know, so they're going to do some type of green card system, man. So they're being selective of what they're being very selective, man.
Yeah, because he said that that a lot of the farmers can operate at the level that they do because of the workers that they have.
Yeah.
And guess what? Not all the workers are legal.
Hey, even construction.
Right.
Construction too, bro.
That's huge.
Well, that's gonna create pressure on the economy.
Yeah.
Basically, when it comes down to it. You know, so it's basically you're getting what you asked for, man. You know, you're getting what you asked for.
Yeah.
You want to make America great again, but guess what? Jake has always made America the ones that made America great. The so-called black and two Native American were the ones that always made America great.
Well, that's in the scripture. It says, NIC shall all the nations of the earth be blessed.
Uh-huh.
Without Jake, shit don't take. They been showing Issachar be rolling around the job sites reporting them. Be like, look at this. Don't take that mean, man. It's like 5 Edomites digging a hole. It's like, this is a one-man job.
Right.
It's gonna take all day. You got 5 years.
So by the bloodshed and the bloodshed and violence of Jake, the tribes, that's how America was built, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't built by the hard-working Edomite.
No.
That's for sure, man. But you know what? We said that we're Carmadians, and I looked this up. It says the Carmadians are mentioned in the biblical book of 2 Ezra. It says they appear in 2 Ezra 15:30, 2 Ezra 15:30, where they're described as a fierce and warlike people. They're identified with the ancient inhabitants of Carmania region in modern-day Iran. So once again, it proves that those are the Iranians that we're talking about. Man.
Yeah.
So, you know, what the things that the scriptures say, and also the Apocrypha, because a lot of people don't think the Apocrypha is prophecy or what they call canon. It's all coming true, man.
And actually, we can end it on that Ezekiel 33.
Okay.
We can end it on that, man, because that's what you're seeing. Everybody is seeing that what we were taught from the elders and apostles on down, all those things are happening on earth now. You can't fight against it. Then you try to go back in the scriptures. The people we told you evil as hell, the world is finding out. Yeah, they're evil as hell.
Right.
So it's fucked up when we said it, but now you see it and it's not messed up.
And what the scriptures say that I shall give you a word that your adversaries
Game series is.
shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. So it's going to be too plain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be too evident. You know, and that's why that the scriptures talk about in, what is that, Amos 8 and 11? You know, that people are going to seek out the prophets. You know, but a famine of the word's coming.
Yeah.
So that's why that we always say, man, that hey, bro, it's a time to get it now because the doors of mercy are closing.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and if you look at how high shit is getting, how hot it's getting, hey, bro, we're close. Like, and especially with how much they are cracking down on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just a matter of time, you know, before they begin to demonize the prophets, man. You know, and
Well, they're really demonizing protesters.
Yeah.
So what do you think the next target's going to be?
right.
The man of the Lord in the street corners of Babylon.
Well, they updated the definition for somebody who's anti-Semitic. They sat there and said, now if you try to say the bombing of Gaza and what happened in Gaza is a genocide,
Right.
they're saying that's now considered anti-Semitic.
They're equating anti-Semitism with terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this is all for the persecution of the saints, man.
Yeah.
This is all for the fulfillment of prophecy.
Yep.
That's right.
You know, and the famine of the word has to come. That's another prophecy that needs to be fulfilled as well.
Yep.
So how do you think it's going to come? You know, it's going to it might be getting so hot out there that brothers can't be out there anymore, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, bro, that is going to come. This is from the book of Ezekiel 33 and 33, and it says, and when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them.
You see? And now you knowing that the prophets have been on this earth, because the things that we talk to the Spirit, diligently searching the scriptures, going into history, now those things are happening. Now you know that, yeah, the Lord was dealing with brothers, that this was the word of the Lord. And a lot of you people are going to be stuck in it because you didn't want to take heed to the message that was saying. But y'all got anything else?
No.
Hey, well, Lord willing, this was edifying. I'm going to say, call Lord.
Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Ba'ashim Rakakadash.
Shalom.
Shalom.